Sometimes the Greek mythologies are not so quite obvious about that. Punishes Medusa. Not society, not the god who raped the woman, but the beautiful woman who got raped as a victim. And she comes her into a hideous female monster with snakes instead of hair, like you see in the picture. And the serpent feet instead of legs, and demonic eyes that would turn people into stone with only one look. I think that excites Medusa to live alone in a deserted cave where no man dares enter. After years comes Perseus. He's a legendary Greek hero. I think everyone now thinks, well, here is a hero coming to save the damsel in distress, but that is not the story. Perseus came in seeking the hand of Medusa. He wanted her hand in order to stonify another monster to take his beloved Andromeda. A story that we will not focus on in this lecture. With a bit of pride, that of course clarifies the bravery of Perseus, the female hero. He beheaded Medusa and took her head with him. The end. That's the end of this Greek myth. For those of you who know Medusa, I bet that the only part they know about this legend, about this myth, is the part with the hideous, monstrous female. How many of you ever heard that Medusa was once a beautiful priestess who was a victim of rape? Nobody? Well, this is exactly, both of you, only few out of the whole group. Well, this is exactly what patriarchal power sought to do. Smear the image of the female and only focus on the points they want, remember, in mythology or in history. The part of the snake, the serpent, not the part of the beautiful victim of rape or excessive male egoism. And every female in history is Medusa. Let's take a look at how it all started, shall we? Female goddess in this. What I'm trying to do now is take you around the timeline and a very generic timeline of the definition of the female, or how she evolved through history and mythology, the concept of the female, the definition of the female. So we started off with the ancient Egyptians, goddess Isis. Are you all familiar with the story of Isis and Osiris? Yeah, the hero in the story was in fact Isis, the female goddess, not Osiris, not the god, but the female goddess. She saved the day, didn't she? When his evil brother Seth chopped him up into pieces and threw him. God knows why he did that. The one who hurried to the rescue was the female. She reassembled her husband's body, and she even fastened her penis in order to get pregnant and give birth to the mighty Horus and save the throne of Egypt and the goodness of Egypt and all. That's the story of Isis. This is how the story of creation started with Egyptians, or the ancient Egyptians. Without her, there would be no cross, no fabric, no life, because she was the symbol of fertility and the symbol of all life and the source of all life on earth. In Mesopotamia, that's the Sumerian culture, a little bit later than the Egyptians, but not far away, lived a goddess of sex and desire. Her name was Ishtar. Not sure if you know about her. Or some of us do. Yeah. Okay. So Ishtar was the sacred being. The etymology of Ishtar until this day is unknown to us. But in Shadow of the Curtains, Yusuf then did do some digging and search in the Sumerian text and come up with this story about Ishtar. She's a goddess of sexuality and fertility. Temples were erected in the name of Ishtar in reverence to her statue. To the Sumerians, she was not only the source of life, but the source of pleasure, without which humanity was dead and utter misery. Her priests, listen to this, her priests were all men, and to accept them in priesthood, they must sacrifice the removed deer as a demonstration of faith in her. What is a man's most dear? Every male priest would castrate himself. In other words, cut off his male organ, present it under the statue of Ishtar, and burn it as a sign of giving up the ultimate pleasure and made able to serve. The husbands, those are the priests. Okay? So the husbands to be, the newly wed, would slice off only part of the male organ as a promise to the sacred goddess that they would sacrifice the most dear for her female offspring, which are other males, mortal females. Sorry. A tradition that is the origin of male circumcision nowadays. The slices of male organs would be gathered by the priest and fashioned into a necklace to be placed around the statue's neck. Okay? And this is based on Zidane finding and documentation. So this is how much the female was revered, feared, and worshipped in the ancient era, before civilization thrived, or at least civilization as we know it. Okay? So what happened? According to Derasa, the creation of patriarchy took place. Patriarchy was created at a specific time in history, out of many complex processes involving demographic, ecological, cultural, and cultural factors, which developed a lifestyle, changed, and people adapted to new circumstances. These processes took place at the beginning of civilization. So there is a shift here, there is a paradigm shift that happened. Okay? Some of these new styles and processes, which eventually led to male dominance, were men in herder tribes, that's the herdsmen, the shepherds, okay, learned to domesticate animals during the Neolithic era. This meant they realized it took both male and female to produce offspring. It is thought these herdermen were the first men to realize their role in paternity. So they just woke up one day, the men, and said, hey, we're important too, and it takes both genders to create an offspring. And why is power only in the hands of the females? They're not the source of life alone. And so it takes all this power. And then these herdermen were also the first humans to acquire the notion of private ownership. So not only sharing power, they want every bit of power to be their own. That's the concept of called absolute power. In this case, the notion of private ownership of their own herd. Before the time during the Neolithic era, people had shared tools, land, herds, agricultural produce to Ethiopia. But then came the man and said, no, we have to divide it all and everyone has to take a piece of the cake. You see where I'm going? What this meant acquired the notion of private ownership. They wanted to pass their herds down to their blood partners. And this was when they insisted women be virgins, when they married and refrained from adultery after marriage. Life at the end of the Neolithic era included a phenomenon called by eminent anthropologists Claude Lévi-Strauss, the exchange of women. That's the radical shift that happened in the woman's situation by the end of the Neolithic era. That's right before the beginning of civilization. So what does it mean, the exchange of women? It represented forms of trade where women were commodities. It took several forms. One of these forms, for example, negotiated marriages. Alliances between tribes and villages, and then the king or the chief of the village would say, well, I'll marry off my daughter to your son to be political alliance. That's one way of the exchange. So they would exchange their own daughters in order to ensure a political life. The life of the daughters as if it was the property of the father.